Part 83. My evil Imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant. Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 821. Early the next morning, Lum Wan and the three secretly left the transfer station. This time Lum Wan didn't take the others with him, because the place they were going was very dangerous and secretive. And Sujin took the initiative to ask to stay and wait for Lum Yubai and his party. A few people walked out of the transfer station with the invisibility talisman, and Yeking Han said, "I think your brother and Lan Ruolai get along pretty well." After Lan Ruo left Nian Lum Wan, the second person she likes and sticks the most is Sujin. Yeking Han seldom speaks in front of other people, and his whole body exudes a coldness that strangers should not enter. But alone with Lum Wan and Ming Xiu, he would be much more cheerful. Lum Wan chuckled and said, "That time in the Kanglan secret realm, senior brother and Lan Ruoshui had an accident and stayed alone for a while. I think there is always something unsettling between them." "Your brother and Ruoshui are actually quite a match," Ming Xiu said with a meaningful smile. Lum Wan's eyes lit up. "Yes. Why didn't I think of this?" No wonder the senior brother looked at Lan Ruoshui differently from the others. Lan Ruoshui and senior brother also panicked when they looked at each other. It turns out that the two already have a relationship foundation. Already. After getting to know Lan Ruoshui, she still likes each other quite a bit, especially Lan Ruoshui has paid a lot of heartache for Lan Ruolai to endure in the Lan family for many years, which shows that this person is still more affectionate and righteous. Although his senior brother's temperament is relatively light, he is a very warm man, and it is very suitable for Lan Ruoshui to be warm and cold. "Maybe we will be able to drink Brother Su's wedding wine when we are outside the battlefield," Yeking Han joked with his lips hooked. "This is the best way," Lum Wan smiled and said, "when we leave the battlefield outside the territory, my master should also be able to ascend from Tianling continent, and he will be able to preside over it at that time." The elders of the Su family were completely ignored by her, and those people were not worthy. With the resources she left behind and his master's talent, it would be no problem to break through the sword god within 100 years. By then, her grandfather and others should also soar. But the Lan family might be in a bit of trouble. Lum Wan thought about it with cold eyes. "I want to let those who bullied Ruoli go back to have the same taste." Her protection is more than just talking about it. The Lan family gave her a really bad impression. She could see that Lan Yanhuan actually had some resistance to the higher UPS of the Lan family, as if there was some secret. "Will the Lan family oppose Brother Su?" Yeking Han raised an eyebrow. In his opinion, Sujin is worthy of Lan Ruoshui no matter what the conditions are, and he heard that Sujin is the only direct son of the Su family, head of the human domain spirit wine family. Such an identity should be high for the Lan family. Senior brother's situation in Su's family is not so good. Lum Wan sighed, and briefly explained Sujin's background and Yeking Han. Yeking Han's eyes were full of coldness. "Parents and families like this don't want it." He was forced to stay in Tianling continent because his father and mother encountered a crisis. If he couldn't compete for the position of Bihai King, he would definitely die. For his safety, he had to do it as a last resort. Ming Xiu went to the lower realm just for experience. He was the most precious son in Emperor Ming's heart. Even if he could not break through the sword god, he would be brought back to the Guangling realm. But Sujin's parents gave it up on purpose, which was so cold-blooded. "Yeah. We have to give the Su family a good slap after the senior brother leaves the battlefield outside the territory." Lum Wan was even more disgusted with the Su family. "Does the Su family have any disciples who have entered the battlefield outside the territory?" Yeking Han's eyes were deep. "There should be, but they didn't come close to us." Lum Wan shrugged. Ming Xiu said, "The people of the Su family have always been arrogant because they are a family of spirit wine masters in the mainland. We are good friends with Brother Su, and they will not join us in a short period of time, but it will be difficult to say when the military exploits on the battlefield have completely erupted. Already. When the time comes, Let's see what senior brother means, but I think I can protect them for 1 or 2. Lum Wan hooked her lips and smiled. As soon as Jun Luokan got out of the transfer station, he got out by himself. What conspiracy are you going to play? Lum Wan rolled his eyes at him. What kind of intrigue would someone with integrity like me play? Jun Luokan was speechless. If you were upright, then there would be no dishonest people. This woman is so thick-skinned that he is willing to bow down. Yanner wants brother Su to establish some prestige among the younger generation of the Su family. Going back and slapping the face will more resonate from the Su family. The corner of Ming Xiu's lips raised an arc. Well, and the geniuses of the Su family's self-proclaimed younger generation are sheltered by someone who was abandoned by a family. In fact, this is already a shame. Lum Wan's eyes fluctuated with inexplicable brilliance. We have to convince them. Slapped in the face. People who offend you, this woman, really don't have a good end. Jun Luokan pouted. He had already begun to sympathize with the future ruin of the Su family. Don't leave a peerless genius, just want to lift the thing that can't be on the table. It's blind and deserves it. Of course Lum Wan has never been a person who repays virtue with virtue. By the way, will the Nether Palace royal family take action against the Lan family? She turned to look at Ming Xiu. She held a hostile attitude towards the factors that prevented his senior brother from successfully holding the beauty. Yes, I will clean up the Lan family myself. Ming Xiu mentioned the Lan family with cold eyes. Lum Wan roughly guessed something, but she didn't want to reveal Ming Xiu's scar. She shook his hand and said, let's be together. I've seen the Lan family dislike for a long time. Ming Xiu's heart warmed, and Jun Yan showed an evil and charming smile. Okay. Jun Luokan watched the two's eyes darken, and he said to Yeking Han, Sujin is going to find the second spring. How about you? Brother Su's relationship with Mu Yan has never been a relationship between a man and a woman. Yeking Han's eyes were full of waves. I will never fall in love with other women in my life. Falling in love with Lum Wan is the best. He really can't move his heart a second time. Now that he has decided to be a good guardian, he won't go over half a step, but he won't find a woman to marry in order to cope. That would hurt others. Jun Luokan sighed. A man like Yeking Han who is infatuated and single-minded, but not blindly plundering, is really rare in the world. Otherwise, whether it is Yeking Han's identity background, his own talent and strength, or the relationship between him and Lum Wan that is different from others, if it were someone else, they would have gone to the dark and perverted and robbed Ming Xiu. Does this also mean that Yeking Han loved Lum Wan so deeply that he was reluctant to hurt and see her wronged? You don't think about destroying their relationship, do you? Yeking Han's voice contained a bit of joking. Jun Luokan gave a wry smile. Firstly, the tacit understanding between them is something that no one else can interfere with, and secondly, I can't bear the violence of that woman, so let Ming Xiu enjoy such blessings alone. Yeking Han didn't expect him to say such sour words, and laughed in a low voice. Do they count as people who love each other as if they are connected with each other? After a few people left the transfer station for a distance, they unlocked the invisibility charm and put on the flying magic weapon. Who knew that after flying out a distance, a white figure appeared in front of him blocking the way? Lum Wan twitched at the corner of his mouth when he saw that indistinguishable male and female face. Nailange was really a tough guy. My evil imperial wife is too arrogant. Trash against the world. BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant. Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 822. Ming Xiu opened the door of the flying instrument, and Nailange walked up slowly. How do you know that we have left the transfer station and will be waiting on this route? Lum Wan raised her eyebrows while holding her hands. Nailange looked at her lightly and replied, my puppet can capture your general direction. You really do not leave any room for entanglement. Lum Yu gave him a white look. Nailange's puppet is different from the puppet mechanism in the Xianxian world. He uses real people to refine it. It has flesh and blood, and has special talents and secret techniques. It is very strange. I can't help it, I feel very comfortable with you on the battlefield outside the territory. Nailanj consciously picked up the bottle on the table and poured a glass of wine for himself, then his eyes lit up, he squinted and said, I didn't expect you to still a 9th rank sommelier. His choice is indeed right, and he will have a good time in the future. Lum Wan said angrily, is it really okay for you, a member of the Red Camp, to come here to hang out with our people from the Black Camp? This isn't just a relationship, it's a collaboration. Nailanj took a sip of his wine seriously. Lum Wan was speechless. We're going to a very dangerous and secret place. I like to explore dangerous and hidden places the most. Nailanj raised his eyebrows. Although we are in a cooperative relationship, we are a hostile camp after all. I don't believe you, Lum Wan said bluntly. The place they were going was very important to Jun Luokan and Mo Yan, and she was really worried that Nailanj, a member of the enemy camp, would join in the fun. Nailanj played with the wine glass and thought deeply. He could see that Lum Wan was serious this time. After a while, he took out a black badge from the space ring. This way you can rest assured. Lum Wan and the three were stunned when they saw the black badge. This guy is the spy of the Black Camp in the red side. From Sujin, they knew that the real spies possessed the same badges as others, but they were still somewhat different. Nailanj's black badge is the same as Sujin's, indicating that he is actually from the Black Camp. Aren't there other ethnic groups in your continent? Are they also from our faction? Lum Wan asked inexplicably. Nailanj shook the glass. Give me a few pots of spirit wine to drink. Lum Wan felt that this fellow was so shameless, but for the sake of the war, she had to know about the spies, so she took out a few pots of spirit wine and put it on the table. Drink you to death. We Lei Ling clan are not the original residents of that interface. Our ancestors settled there for some special reasons, but we have never forgotten our homeland and will go back in the future. Nailanj's eyes were full of coldness, so we are actually looking forward to the loss of the red team. Do you have any hatred between your ethnic group and the ethnic group on that interface? Lum Wan could still hear a trace of hatred in Nailanj's calm voice. Almost, an unsolvable feud. Nailanj didn't want to say more. Lum Wan didn't ask any more questions. Now that he knew Nailanj's true identity, the scruples in his heart dissipated a lot. This guy is actually a very deep infernal way. Thinking of Nailanj's ability, she looked at Jun Luokan and said, it's up to you to take him or not. The location was proposed by Jun Luokan, and she respected his choice. Take it, just one more person. Jun Luokan smiled indifferently. Time passed in a hurry, and 2 months later, Lum Wan and the others escaped from a place that looked like an explosion in a dark abyss. And immediately get on the flying instrument and use various speed blessing formations and prohibitions to gallop in the direction of the transfer station. Flying far away, looking back at the place that had turned into a vortex of cracks in the dark space, several people breathed a sigh of relief. We were almost going to be buried there forever. Lum Wan took out a pot of wine and poured a glass for each of them. In the past 2 months, they went to explore a very dangerous but great opportunity provided by Jun Luokan, and after getting the treasure in that dense land, they also triggered the ban on destruction. If they hadn't run fast, they would have been swallowed up by that dark crack now. The greater the danger, the more reward, isn't it? Jun Luokan picked up the glass and took a sip. Of course you have gained a lot, a senior who integrates the heaven and human realm. Lum Wan glanced at him amusingly. Jun Luokan chuckled, your Mo Yan has also been promoted to the upper fusion realm because of this. Well, that's true. Lum Wan was very happy with Mo Yan's promotion. Jun Luokan pouted, eccentric eyes. He was promoted to this woman's nose, not the nose, the eyes, or the eyes, and Mo Yan was promoted to her with a smug smile that couldn't be concealed. Nonsense. My bias must be biased towards my Mo Yan, Lum Wan replied as a matter of course. You won. Jun Luokan rolled his eyes. Lum Wan raised her chin arrogantly, have you ever lost my sister? This time, apart from Jun Luokan successfully breaking through to the fusion of heaven and man, and Mo Yan breaking through to fusion. The others and spiritual pets have gained a lot, which can be regarded as making up for their misery after 2 months. Colorless days. Diddy. The badges of several people sounded at the same time. There is a message jointly sent by the headquarters of the Red Camp and the Black Camp. Congratulations to Naylands, a soldier from the Red Camp, who has reached the qualifications for promotion today, and became the first person from both camps to be awarded the rank of captain. Others, please take this as an encouragement and work harder. Looking at this message, the three of them looked up at Naylands. Naylands didn't look surprised at all. He said lightly, "He is my brother, and he is also from the Black Camp." Your brother's strength is very strong. Ming Xiu heard about Naylands before. It is said that the strength of the Red Camp can be ranked in the top 5. My brother has been suppressing the cultivation base in the Tianyuan realm just to be introduced to the outer battlefield. In fact, his comprehension was able to break through to the fusion realm 20 years ago. Naylands and Lumwian have experienced several lives and deaths in the past 2 months, and Lumwian has rescued him once, so he did not hide it. Very good, the stronger he is, the better for our black faction. Lumwian most valued the result of the final battle. And after 2 months of many life and death adventures, her understanding of element attributes has reached a new level. I believe that she will soon be able to advance to the fusion realm. This kind of cultivation speed not only does not need to be at the bottom, but also throws away many people. Top notch. The military exploits should be started, right? Ye King Han asked. Jun Luokan said, as long as there is another person with the rank of colonel in the Black Camp, the military merit battlefield will open. Not long after his voice fell, another message came from the badges of several people. Following Naylands from the Red Camp, Shanqing from the Black Camp was successfully promoted to the rank of captain. The military exploits will start in 1 month. Please be ready to be dispatched to fight at any time. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My evil imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world. BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant. Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 823. Seeing the news from the badge, Lumwian and the others were looking forward to it. Military exploits are a relatively important part of the extraterritorial battlefield. They can be regarded as warm-up battles before the decisive battle, but they only last for a long time. People from the Red and Black camps will be dispatched by the headquarters one after another to several pre-arranged battlefield areas for military exploits. At that time, the two sides will start a complete war, and instead of looking around for a small amount of accumulated military merit by the enemy, they can let go of the killing. Of course, there are advantages and disadvantages. In the military merit battle, countless sword masters died on both sides of the Red and Black, and an accident would turn into a military merit value. Let's go back to the transfer station to rest for a month and wait for the arrangement of the faction alliance headquarters. Lumwian rubbed the wine glass with his fingers. Jun Luokan took a sip of wine and said with a smile, "This year's military exploits started very early, very good. The spiritual item I want should be able to be exchanged soon." Although he can condense his body, it is different from the real body that is remodeled and nourished with spiritual things. The quartermaster has a spiritual item that can reshape his body. As long as enough military merit can be exchanged, he can't wait. With the reshaped body, many of his previous secret techniques can be performed, and when the time comes to go back to take revenge, he can open the things that were hidden when the body was damaged. If you just rush out, you can knock down a piece of it. Military merit comes very quickly. Lumwian shrugged. Jun Luokan laughed angrily and said, "Do you think the officers of the red side will allow me, an anomaly who merges with the realm of heaven and man, to effect the destruction of the battle? After all, the talented young people who entered the major interfaces of the extraterritorial battlefield are limited in age and experience. In addition, before entering the battlefield, they were all cultivated in the fusion environment, so his cultivation can sweep anyone on the red camp side. He was not the one who was passed on by the law, only because he signed a contract with Lum Wen and was attached to her, so he was not excluded by the law. Therefore, the people at the Alliance headquarters of the red and black camps will allow him to exist, but if he wants to interfere in the battlefield, the other party will definitely come out and punish him. Mo Yan's situation was different from his. Mo Yan was a spiritual pet that had contracted since Lum Wen was still in the sword god cultivation base. He also represented the master's strength. Even if he was promoted to the upper realm of fusion, he would have no problem. Then what can you do? After listening to Jun Luoqin's words, Lum Wen also understood what he meant. If there are more anomalies like Jun Luoqin on the battlefield, there is really no need to fight, it is definitely a one-sided situation. At least it is absolutely no problem to kill the sword master who has merged the first realm and the Tianyuan realm. I can do a lot, guide you to obtain resources, and use experience to teach you how to win military exploits, Jun Luoqin said proudly. Although I can't take action when it comes to military exploits, I am very familiar with it, and it is more than enough to be your military advisor. If I accumulate enough military merit to exchange for that spiritual item, will your body be forcibly repelled by the laws of the extraterritorial battlefield? Lum Wen thought about it and asked a key question. Jun Luoqin nodded, definitely. I wasn't rejected by the law and teleported in with you mainly because I was only in a state of soul. Once I reshaped my body, I would definitely be teleported out immediately. He paused and said, so I won't easily use that spiritual item during the extraterritorial battlefield, but in order to avoid being replaced by others, you still have to speed up the pace of military merit. Let's focus on attacking military exploits. In military exploits, Lum Wen took out his identity badge and looked at the ranking of total military exploits. They were still out of 10,000. It seemed to be a bit unprofessional before. After returning to the middle of the war, Lum Wen met the Lumyabai brothers, and Yukian, and others. Big brother, second brother Lum Wen was still confident in the means of saving their lives. Yaner/sister. Lumyabai and Lumuding rubbed Lum Wen's hair and called her affectionately. Master Mia Miao's transformed little white snake flew from Lumuding's wrist to Lum Wen's wrist and rubbed constantly. Little thing, it's skinny again. Lum Wen scratched her little head dotingly. Wen, and Yukian and other members of the mercenary union also stepped forward to greet Lum Wen. Everyone is here, let's go into the room and talk. After entering the residential area of the Black Camp, Lum Wen chatted with the group. Afterwards, I went to the store to have a look, and found that the items inside had basically been exchanged. Bingji and Longyao took out all the things they exchanged, and Lum Wen found that there were many rare and hard-to-find high-level spirit grasses and spirits among them. You two have done a good job. Lum Wen took out all the spirits that were suitable for the two spirit pets in the dark place. The military exploits are about to start, you should improve your cultivation as soon as possible, we still have a tough battle to do. Beat. Okay, then we will definitely not drag the master's hind legs. Bingji took the spiritual creature leisurely, and his eyes gleamed. Longyao also looked like a thief, we can finally go to sweep the battlefield. He's getting bored here. Stupid dragon, don't be afraid of the wind flashing your tongue, and you want to sweep the battlefield. Bingji looked at Longyao with disdain, and his face was full of disbelief. Longyao glared at him and rolled up his sleeves. Stinky bird, I'm at least better than you, do you want to fight again? Just fight, whoever is afraid. Bingji snorted coldly. The two spirit pets ran into the space to fight. Lum Wen smiled helplessly, these two are the best spirits among spiritual pets. Sister, where's Mo Yan? Lumuding asked curiously when he saw that Mo Yan didn't appear. He has made a breakthrough in his cultivation and is consolidating in my bell space. Lu Muan looked at Lu Muting and smiled. Second brother, eldest brother has already advanced to the fusion realm, and you are holding back again. Lu Muting has a black line. Is this his own sister? Dedicated to stepping on his sore spot. I will definitely be able to advance to the fusion realm before the military exploits start, he said with high fighting spirit. Lu Muan threw a few bottles of medicinal pills to him. Hurry up and practice. Military exploits and battles commonly known as the place of death are not just for fun. Understood, rest assured. Sister Lu Muting took the medicine pill and gave her a soothing look. Afterwards, Lu Muan gave Lu Mubai and Yukian and the others some resources to quickly improve their cultivation. She, Mingxiu and Lan Ruolai began to continuously refine high-level medicinal pills, talismans, and magic balls. This time, they did not trade externally, but prepared for military exploits. A month later, there were 2 messages from everyone's identity badges. One is that the headquarters of the alliance between the Black and Red camps announced the official opening of the military exploits. One is the location of the allocated battlefield for the numbers of the Black and Red camps in the military battle. My evil Imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world. BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant. Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 824. Lu Muan and other people from the 4 clans from the Guangling realm were all assigned to the western battlefield. Nailange was also assigned to the western battlefield, and it could be said that most of the people at this transfer station were assigned to the western battlefield. After hearing the news that Lu Muan and others were assigned to the western battlefield, the leaders of the Red camp who had quietly negotiated to remove Lu Muan before the transfer station were relieved. They have already made a lot of preparations, and they only waited for Lu Muan and others to enter the game after the military exploits. 3 days later, another flying battleship appeared outside the transfer station, and Yu Che appeared again. After Lu Muan and the others boarded the flying battleship, Yu Che walked to the front. Congratulations to you for surviving in the most difficult half a year to adapt to the foreign battlefield. He still had a smile like a spring breeze, warm and graceful. There are 5 battlefields in this military operation, namely the East, South, Central, West and North. You are all assigned to the Western War Territory, and I was ordered to send you over this time. It's been half a year since you came to the battlefield outside the territory. You must have a general understanding of military exploits and warfare. I'll just say a few words here. Military wars have always had a very important impact on the decisive battle in the extraterritorial battlefield. If you want to win the red team in the final battle, then you must do your best to sprint the ranking of the total military merits in the military war. Military exploits are also the best opportunity and way for you to accumulate military exploits and advance to military rank. The time usually lasts for a long time. Those who survive every 3 years will be sent to his battlefield. I just want to remind you 2 points. Don't be too individualistic after you go to the military field. Especially, it is absolutely necessary to be self-righteous. Once self-righteousness emerges, it will definitely be the target of the opponent's group fight. Of course, I'm not asking you to keep a low profile, but don't be that early bird who wants to go into battle and kill the enemy single-handedly. One more thing, when your rank is up, it will be woven into the army of the alliance, and it will be led by people with higher rank. So if you don't want to be controlled by others, or show your own brilliance in the extraterritorial battlefield, then don't hide your strength after entering the military merit theater, and hurry up to attack the military merit. Okay, this is what I want to remind you. We will arrive at the western battlefield in half a month. You should go back to your room to rest first. After he finished speaking, he waved his hand, and did not give the others time to ask. On the flying battleship, it does not prevent each other from visiting each other, so many people in the same camp privately discuss with each other to form an alliance when the time comes. And Lu Muan and Mingxiu also received invitations from the powerful leaders of different races, but they were both declined. In any case, they must take the 4 clans from the Guangling world as the first. However, after declining, they also agreed to take care of each other after arriving in the military merit theater. Half a month passed in a blink of an eye. When the flying battleship arrived at the western battlefield, Yu Che took everyone down. After Lu Muan got off the flying battleship, he was stunned by the scene in front of him. All around here are free starry sky, and the galaxies span to form countless special broken star belts. Yu Che casually introduced the situation of the western galaxy battlefield. The broken stars spanning the various galaxies in the western battlefield have different attributes, and some of them are very dangerous. If you don't accidentally attack the enemy, you will fall, so if you find the abnormality, run away immediately. Of course, dangerous places also mean opportunities. These specially formed broken star belts have been formed for hundreds of millions of years, and the hidden resources are also extremely rich. This is the battlefield of military merit, which means that every killing will take place in these places. The space rings or artifacts of those who died will also be scattered in the broken star belt. If you are lucky, you will meet them. Okay, now I'll take you to the base of the Black Camp in the western battlefield. The base of the Black Camp is not far away, and the buildings and the headquarters of the Camp Alliance are very imaginary. The perimeter of the base is guarded by officers and is well organized. After you have adjusted to the western battlefield for 3 days, the chief officer here will arrange for you to change the guard to guard the base. Yu Che said as he walked. Every time you need to take turns guarding the base for 1 month, 2 or 3 times a year arrive. Of course, if the rank is promoted, there is no need to do such a thing. As soon as the group arrived at the base, the officers on duty all around saluted Yu Che respectfully. Hello, executive. Lu Muan heard that the executive officer's position in the outer domain battlefield is second only to the top commander of the black and red sides. From this, it can be seen that Yu Che's identity is extraordinary. After entering the base, Yu Che introduced the group to several officers and chief executives here. From today, several of them will be your direct leaders, and all orders need to be obeyed by you. Yu Che's face showed a rare seriousness. Yes. Immediately, a beautiful woman with a red lotus on her forehead walked over with a handsome man. This is the Red Lotus executive. Yu Che introduced the woman to everyone. I have seen Executive Red Lotus. The entire group, including the chief officer, said respectfully. Red Lotus smiled and said, Hello everyone. This is the first Xianxia in our black camp to be promoted to the rank of Captain. Honglian pointed to the man beside her and said, his rank is higher than yours, and he is tentatively designated as your captain. Others will be allocated separately after they are promoted. Hello Captain, the group looked at Xianxia's friendly greeting. Xianxia's appearance can only be regarded as delicate among beautiful men and beauties, and it appears to be relatively ordinary, but her temperament is very restrained and stable, giving people a feeling of reliability and integrity. His temperament is gentle and casual, and it is easy to make people feel good. Hello everyone, I hope we will work together to attack the military in the 3 years of the Western battlefield. His smile carried a warm feeling, and his voice was calm and peaceful. It's hard to be disgusted by such a person. Lu Muan's first impression of Xianxia is not bad. Although he is not confused by the surface, his sixth feeling is that this person is not a sinister and cunning person. There is a room corresponding to your badge number in the base. You can find a rest on your own. Yu Che waved his hand to indicate that he could leave. The others gradually dispersed to find the corresponding room, but Lu Muan and the others were called to the military room of the base by Yu Che's voice transmission alone. Lu Mubai was also left behind by transmission. When Lu Muan and the others went to the military room, they saw Yu Che and Honglian sitting inside, while Xianxia and a good-looking woman in green were standing in front of them. Executive Moon, Executive Red Lotus. After the 4 entered, they greeted them respectfully. All 6 of you, sit down, I have something to explain to you. Yu Che smiled and nodded, pointing to the 6 vacant seats opposite him and Hong Lian. My evil imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant. Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 825. Lum Wan and the others could not actually guess the purpose of Yu Che bringing them here alone, and sat down obediently. After a few people sat down, a female officer came in with tea and gave everyone a cup. Yu Che picked up the teacup and took a sip, then looked at several people with a half smile and said, "Do you know why I called you here alone today?" "I don't know," several people replied in unison. "The 6 of you are the ones I choose to bet on." Yu Che didn't hide it, she said frankly. Apart from Lum Wan and Xianxia, Lum Wan and the woman in green did not understand what he meant. Of course, Lum Wan and the others also pretended to be ignorant. After each extraterritorial battlefield is opened, all of you will be invited to participate in the trial battle, which is the experience you experienced in the first 3 months, such as the Desert of Death. Then the top commanders of the red and black sides will jointly open a bet, and all the senior officers may bet on the 6 who will enter their respective camps on the battlefield. He repeated the general rules. When entering the extraterritorial battlefield, all the younger generation who participated in the war were divided into 2 waves, and their officers could choose 3 persons from each wave, so Lum Wan was the 6 he selected. As for the Red Lotus executive, the 6 people she chose were assigned to the central battlefield, and she would soon rush there. "The executive officer you called us today because he wanted us to step up our efforts to attack the military in the western battlefield." After Yu Che finished speaking, Xianxia thought about it and asked. Apart from this reason, he really didn't know what would make Yu Che favor them. "Yes, your minimum goal is to enter the top 100 in the military merit list." Yu Che rubbed his teacup and smiled. Of course, Xianxia has already ranked 2nd in total military merit, as long as you keep it up. He knew that the number 1 Nalens was a very difficult guy, and he was also a spy of the black side lurking in the red side, so he didn't ask Xianxia to fight Nalens for the first place. "Executive Yu, do you have such confidence in us?" Lum Wan looked at Yu Che with a meaningful smile. They actually accounted for 4 of the 6 people selected by this person, and she didn't know if he had other purposes. "Since I chose the 6 of you, I have considered all aspects of it, and I have great confidence in you." Yu Che chuckled. "Even the goal I set for you is not just the top 100, but also the top 100. It's the top 30. What if we can't make it into the top 100 in the military rankings?" Lum Wan continued to ask. "Then you can stay on the battlefield outside the territory forever." Yu Che's expression did not change, and his voice was still warm, but what he said made people shudder. The 6 people present did not ask him what he meant by staying in the extraterritorial battlefield, but it was definitely not a good thing anyway. Lum Wan had heard Jun Luokan talk about Yu Che for a long time, and was not surprised by what he said. She pondered for a moment, and said with a light smile in her eyes, "If we finally make it to the top 100, will Executive Yu get any reward?" "Humph, this fellow wants them to be coolies for free, so she won't give up." Although they said they had to attack the military as soon as possible, they were still very upset when they were threatened. At least they had to let this fellow spit out something to make up for it. Xianxia and the green-clothed woman obviously did not expect Lum Wan to make a request without permission, and they looked down on her boldness a bit. After all, they could not refuse to ask them as Yu Che. Yu Che didn't get angry when she heard Lum Wan's words, but laughter poured out of his mouth. "You girl is a little fox who won't suffer. Since you will be punished if you fail to meet the requirements, then I will naturally reward you if you win." Yu Che threw the 6 jade slips to them and said, "The specific rewards are all in the jade slips. As long as you meet the requirements, the more profit you can make. Big. And even if I don't bet on you, presumably you won't give up on attacking the military. This is the best of both worlds." Lum Wan swept the contents of the jade slip, thinking that although Yu Che threatened them, the rewards in it were indeed very moving. In particular, the rewards for the top 3 in the ranking of the shocking army can be used as a resource for shocking the immortals in the future. Few people can resist such a temptation. And just like what Yuche said, even without his intervention, they would have to attack the military, the only difference being that they would end up badly if they couldn't make it to the top 100 in the military list. Then thank you Executive Officer Yu, we will hit the top 20. Lum Weian's face burst into a confident brilliance. Although their current ranking is above 10,000, there are enemy forces everywhere in the western battlefield. It is not difficult to attack the military as long as you dare to think, do, and fight. Very good, I believe you all have such potential. Among the 6 people Yuche was most optimistic about were Lum Weian and Ming Xiu. He found that the potential of these 2 people was very high. Honglian doesn't care that Yuche is so optimistic about the 6 people. She never thought that he would not choose so many people with excellent talent and potential in the extraterritorial battlefield, but he chose 4 people with medium strength like Guanglingja in one breath. Interface people. In addition to being more optimistic about Shanxing, she doesn't think that she can reach the top 100 on the military merit ranking, and it is more like a joke to reach the top 20. After more than half a year of comparison, the overall comprehensive strength of the red and black double engines has been analyzed by other senior officers. This time, the overall strength of the red camp is stronger than that of the black camp, especially now that the top 100 people in the military merit list are basically the red camp, and the record of the black camp is actually a bit appalling. Although the current ranking does not necessarily represent the future ranking, but in the past, there are not many people who can make it variable, so this time the 3 supreme commanders of the black camp have been very good. Displeased. Thank you for the optimism of Executive Yu, then can you open a back door for us, Lum Weian said with a rogue smile. Yuche looked at her with a funny look, what back door? If it's too much, I won't answer. Honglian found out that Lum Weian, this girl, was really courageous, and actually kept bargaining with Yuche, an old fox. She seldom looked at Yuche's helplessness. We don't want to waste time guarding the alliance base, can we not arrange for us at that time? Lum Weian has decided not to keep a low profile in the western battlefield and to show off her skills, but it is still very difficult to reach from more than 10,000 to 100, and she needs time. Okay, that's fine. Yuche was quite satisfied with Lum Weian's request. The people who were introduced to the battlefield outside the territory were not all motivated, and there were still a small number of people who would take advantage of the situation and save their lives. Being assigned to guard the battlefield base is actually a life-saving method that can delay time, and some people will take the initiative to do it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My evil imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant. Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 826. Yuche agreed to Lum Weian's request, and Shanxing and Levi were also relieved. They didn't want to waste time guarding the base. Yuche stroked the tea cover and said with a light smile, the 6 of you are all my juniors, so I hope that in the future, you will be able to fight side by side from time to time and reach the top 100 in the military merit list. It's no accident that you will be sent to other battlefields after 3 years in the western battlefield. I want to see the 6 of you still alive during the big battle. Although they are more optimistic about the strength and potential of the 6 people, the extraterritorial battlefield is a very dangerous environment, and no one can guarantee that whoever will eventually survive. He could only hope in his heart that all 6 of them would survive and meet his expectations. Executive Yu, rest assured, we will. Lum Weian and the others did not reject Shanxing and the woman in green. Girl Lu, I heard that you opened a trading shop at the transfer station, and there are 9th grade medicinal herbs, magic balls, and talismans for exchange, Yuche asked casually. Well, this is indeed the case. Lum Wan nodded. Yusu raised her eyes and looked at her lightly. You are not doing this just to exchange resources, right? The value of the 9th grade medicinal pills, array balls, and talismans exchanged by Lum Wan and Ming Xiu in the field outside the realm was actually higher than those of spirit herbs, spirit objects, and materials. In his opinion, such a transaction is actually more beneficial to those who did not make the transaction. After all, life is the most precious thing. It seems that nothing can be concealed from Executive Yu. Lum Wan's eyes were dark and she smiled softly. I just want to make a little influence on the victory of the black team in the end. Shanqing and the green-clothed woman did not expect that Lum Wan already had the consciousness of wanting to change the battle situation when they were still intent on attacking the military, and started to execute it. I was a little more curious about her in my heart. Heh. Do you think our black faction will win in the end? Yu Che raised an eyebrow, neither dissatisfied nor sarcastic, but very serious. Lum Wan's eyes showed a firm color of confidence. I firmly believe that as long as you work hard, you can win. Little girl, do you know the current performance and overall strength of the black and red camps in the extraterritorial battlefield? Red Lotus chuckled and looked at Lum Wan with a disapproving look. Lum Wan nodded and said, on the surface, the overall strength of the red camp this time is much stronger than our black camp, and the top 1,000 red camps on the military merit list also occupy nearly 2/3. Then she changed the subject and said, but I don't think this will be the final result. After all, the military exploits have just begun, and we have every chance to turn defeat into victory. She said this is not a big talk, but a part of his and Ming Xiu's plan. They must promote this long battle to finally be victorious, just for their relatives, friends, and clansmen who remain in the Guangling world. You are still too young, Hong Lian laughed. Winning a beautiful opening is not only an affirmation of strength, but also boosts morale. The previous foreign battlefields were basically finalized after the comprehensive strength before the military exploits came out. She is also very eager for Black's camp to turn defeat into victory, but this may be very small, and she is not optimistic from a rational point of view. Everything can be changed before it is fixed. Lum Wan smiled and said, I firmly believe. Listening to her words and feeling the resolute self-confidence exuding from her body, not to mention the 3 people in Mingxiu, even Shanqing and the green-clothed woman were moved. Very well, this is the Lum Wan that I value. Yu Che's eyes were filled with admiration, and he liked this junior who would not admit defeat and dare to challenge. From the bottom of her heart, Hong Lian admires Lum Wan's temperament, but the battlefield with so many people cannot be changed by a few people. She can only smile. Hope. Then Yu Che and Hong Lian told a few people about some general and precautions on the battlefield of military exploits. Okay, let's go down and rest first. Yu Che's purpose of calling people has been completed. Get ready, and officially enter the battlefield in 3 days. Yes. After the 6 people left, Hong Lian turned to look at Yu Che and said with a smile, do you really believe her words? Believe? Why don't you believe it? Yu Che was clearly in a good mood. Man is sure to conquer the sky, and they have the ability to influence the situation of the battle. You must think too highly of them. The first time Hong Lian saw Yu Che, she would only judge based on her feelings. She shook her head and said, it's good to have ideas, but it's too far away to be grasped. Their 9th grade pills, magic balls, and talismans will gradually have a profound impact. Yu Che didn't want to argue with Hong Lian. We can wait and see. Okay, I look forward to the person you choose can really change the tide of the battle, as she said. Gillian stood up and smiled and said, I'm going to the central battlefield to see my people. After meeting the 6 people you selected, I suddenly look forward to them. The 6 people she chose were all stronger than Lum Wan's 6 people in combat power, and their achievements on the military merit list were also good. She was still relatively confident. This time, she might be able to defeat Yu Che once. It is good. After the Red Lotus left, Yu Che smiled with a deep gaze. After Lu Muan and the others went out, the woman in green took the lead in introducing herself. My name is Xianxia, nice to meet you. Xianxia is very beautiful, with a cool and generous temperament. Lu Muan still has a good impression of her. Lu Muan and several others also introduced it from the beginning. Shanqing looked at the five and said, in the future, we will have to cooperate sincerely to fight the enemy. The purpose of Yu Che calling the six of them this time was not just to explain rewards and punishments and to let them get to know each other. The most important thing was to hope that they could unite and become a force. It's natural, otherwise our end will be miserable. I don't doubt Executive Yu's words at all. Lu Muan shrugged and joked. Zhao Xian smiled and said, let's meet tomorrow to discuss. Since they were chosen by Yu Che, there was no way out, so she would still be looking forward to her teammates if they refused to accept and unite to find a way out of their own. It is good. The next day, several people met and discussed with each other about combat matters. 2 days later, the chief officer of the Western base gathered everyone and distributed them. Lu Muan and others did not stay behind to guard the base. During these 3 days, all the people from the Black Camp in the Western battlefield gathered. Lu Muan counted about 50,000 people, but he didn't know how many would be left in 3 years. For the unknown battlefield, many people's hearts are heavy. In addition to the pursuit of strength and cultivation, the life of cultivators is naturally very important. However, no one can choose the future no matter what, and can only make oneself look forward to it. Of course, there are also a small number of people who are already gearing up, imagining how to clean up the opponent's camp and quickly attack the military. More than 50,000 people boarded the flying battleships of the Black faction in order and headed towards the forefront of the Fragment Star Belt battlefield. My evil Imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant. Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 827. The flying battleships are separated in a river of stars, and each time a wave of people is dropped. As for Lu Muan and the others, they were sent to the center of the vast galaxy and the forefront of the battlefield. Sujin, Lan Ruoshui, Lu Muting and other people related to Lu Muan were all sent to the zinc position in the middle of the battlefield, so they could have more time to prepare for the enemy. After arriving at the forefront of the battlefield on both sides, Lu Muan and others were all reported from the flying battleship. The sky in front was dazzlingly dyed in rose red, with a blue broken star belt across the center, stretching as far as the eye could see. There were also many people who were also transported from the flying battleship. Lu Muan estimated that there were about 10,000 people. Are we considered elites or cannon fodder? She raised her eyebrows and teased. Ming Xiu chuckled, if you survive, you are an elite. If you die, you are cannon fodder. Most of the people who were sent to the forefront of the battlefield were divided into 2 categories. One was those who ranked at the top of the previous military exploits, and the other was at the bottom of the battlefield, and they actually belonged to the top of the 10,000 odd ranks. After getting off the flying battleship, although they are from the same camp, many people still choose to team up and act alone. Shanqing is the captain of more than 50,000 people in name, but it is basically impossible for people who have entered the Western War Region Camp Alliance to make centralized arrangements. Your captain has almost become a naked pole. Zhao Xian winked at Shanqing and teased. Shanqing said with a smile, the real Legion battle is at the back. Captains like me are actually just putting on a name. Now he ranks second in the military merit list and has been promoted to the rank of captain, but there are very few people who will really listen to his dispatch. After all, the talented young generation who can enter the foreign battlefield have their own pride, and it is not a good thing. However, after listening to Jun Luokan saying that after the Western battlefield is over, the remaining people will gradually begin to truly unite. Coupled with the continuous promotion of military ranks, it is a good time to establish prestige and win over the Legion. There is no Legion battle right now, and it is the kingly way to quickly rush to the military. Even if he is under great pressure at this time, once he is neglected, he believes that he will soon be pulled down from the top 100 in the military merit list. The people around were scattered, leaving only Lu Muan and a few people. How are we going to fight? Shanxing looked at the crowd and asked for advice. Is it conservative and lurking waiting for the opponent to enter the urn, or is it a strong attack? Lu Muan was not as good as Ming Xiu in terms of tactics, but Ye Qinghan and Lu Mubai didn't care. I suggest taking the initiative to attack strongly, Ming Xiu said after thinking about it. Shanxing smiled and asked, Brother Ming, do you have any ideas? He never despised Ming Xiu, who was in the red-clothed double kill in the alliance of the two camps. People from both camps were transported into the battlefield by the alliance at the same time. Everyone is not stupid. At the beginning, most people should choose to wait conservatively. After all, everyone is not familiar with the broken star belt. Ming Xiu paused and said, but both sides are waiting, the time for the pair will go back, and part of the opportunity will be lost. We all have our own means, and there is no big problem in saving our lives. It is better to take the initiative to attack and take advantage of some opportunities. The most important thing is to quickly break in the tacit understanding between our teams. In extraterritorial battlefields, he prefers team battles to single battles. That's right. If there is no accident, we won't be separated for a while, then it is very important to run the team's battle. Shanxing nodded. And if we don't want to depend on others in the future, we still need to establish prestige. After we continue to advance to military rank, we can hope to form our own legion, and we will be more confident to win in the big battle. Views are raised. If there is no ambition at all, it is absolutely false. Since it has been introduced to the battlefield outside the domain, it is natural to do the best and shine with its own light. Brother Ming is right, then let's take the initiative to attack. Zhao Xian is more in favor of this proposal. Her temperament is somewhat similar to Lu Muan's, and she is more belligerent, making her wait and lurking in a very tormented way. I have no opinion, Ye Qinghan said. Lu Mubai nodded, I agree to take the initiative. Then let's go, Lu Muan chuckled softly. After a few people decided, they quickly got on the flying instrument of Mingxiu. Among the six, only his flying instrument has the strongest defense and the fastest speed. The fragmentary star belt is very wide, and the flying instruments are very fast, but it still took more than 10 days to approach the junction of the two sides. Although many people in the red and black camps will choose to fight conservatively first, there are many people who have the same idea as Ming Xiu. Opportunity is very important. Those who are belligerent or who are very sure of their own strength will choose to take the first step and attack strongly. No, they entered the central staggered area of the battlefield on both sides, and their flying instruments were attacked. There are 29 people on the other side, 24 from the fusion realm, and 5 from the peak of the Tianyuan realm. Ming Xiu swept the front and said, let's face it directly according to our previous deployment. Okay, the other 5 had a lot of fighting spirit at this time. A dazzling red light fell on the flying instrument, which was not damaged but kept shaking. Several people did not delay much, and flew out one after another, forming a formation that could be attacked and defended. 6 people who have cultivated in the fusion realm, let's fight quickly. A man with a head and a snake body on the opposite side looked at Lu Muan and the others and gave orders to the others. He wrapped his arms around indifferently to watch the battle. Yes, boss. This is the half-snake race among the alien races. They have strong defenses throughout their bodies and have a wide variety of attack attributes, but they share a common weakness with other snake races, hitting 7 inches. Jun Luoqin's voice sounded in the sea of consciousness of the 6 people. Lu Muan did not conceal the existence of Jun Luoqin from Shanxing and Zhao Xian. After all, it is better to learn to trust each other first if we want to cooperate in the future. Therefore, Jun Luoqin has also become their well-deserved dog-headed military advisor. He is very experienced in terms of his familiarity with the terrain and his understanding of alien races. Kill, Ming Xiu snorted softly, and took the lead in meeting several half-snake tribes who were attacking from the front. Lum Wan and the others rushed out without any hesitation. In a few rounds, the 5 swordsmen who had cultivated at the peak of the Tianyuan realm all fell. Lum Wan and Ming Xiu did not use formations and sword formations. In the first battle of the western battlefield, all of them used their own strength to fight against each other. Although they had been at the disadvantage, their lives were not in danger. Accumulating military merit is very important, but it is also important to improve strength, so the countermeasures they discussed is to go to war with all their strength first, wait for their potential to be stimulated, and then go to a quick decision after they understand the battle. For example, throwing talismans and array balls. The battle situation continued in a one-sided situation at the beginning. Although the strength of the people from the red camp was not as strong as Lum Wan's 6, they had the upper hand by virtue of the advantage of more people and kept suppressing the 6. But gradually the people of the red camp began to fall, but at most Lum Wan's 6 people were only injured, and the leader of the other party paid attention to it. My evil imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 828. Lum Wan's 6 people have been dealing with the enemies more than 20 people. The opponent's fusion realm powerhouses dropped sharply from 24 to 15, and the half-snake man in the lead also fought Ming Xiu in the dark. The strength of Xianxia is in the fusion realm, and the aura of fighting spreads far away, and many people from the red and black camps who are also at the central junction quickly rushed over. Lum Wan fought with several opponents in the fusion realm for a while, and directly crushed it with a powerful body. In hand-to-hand combat, it was much stronger than the half-snake tribe, which was always known for its rough skin and strong defense. The people who arrived from the red and black parties were all lurking around to watch the battle situation, and they were also wary of the other party's shot, but none of them went out to help, and wanted to see the result. The final result also allowed the two sides to refresh their strength estimates for the red-clothed double kill once again. Lum Wan and Ming Xiu were besieged by several people every time they fought each other, but they were able to handle it with ease and seemed to be at a disadvantage, but every move was to find their weak points during the battle and use them as inspiration to comprehend and improve. After the battle, all the opponent's trump cards were forced out. However, the two perverts still maintained their graceful and indifferent postures. After discovering the inspiration and feeling they should be looking for in the battle, they immediately shot and killed the opponent Thunder. As for the relatively weaker opponents, Lum Wan's 4 countermeasures are to directly smash the formation balls and talismans, and kill each one counts as 1. Because the other party has no value in practicing hands. In the end of the confrontation between the two sides, the people of the half-snake tribe were not only beaten until their noses were bruised, but they also sacrificed their lives for Lum Wan and Ming Xiu's array balls and talismans. And Lum Wan naturally found 2 people lurking not far away. She raised her eyebrows and looked at Ming Xiu and said, "Kill them all." Okay, Ming Xiu also wanted to use the first battle to establish his prestige. Ye King Han and Lum Yubai are not murderous, but they will never be soft-hearted when it's time to make a move. Shanqing's temperament is relatively mild, but he is not ambiguous in killing enemies, and he did not expect the fighting power of Lum Wan's 4 to be so strong. The most important thing is that there are many tricks, and even hand-to-hand combat can be so powerful, which makes him extremely ashamed. Zhao Xian was besieged and seriously injured before. After taking the medicine pill given by Lum Wan, she recovered a lot, and the militant factor in her body was stimulated instead. Kill, I haven't had enough fun today. So the 6 people did not have the slightest scruples, turned into a few streamers and rushed in the direction of the group of people in the red camp. Bloody and a few spirit pets were released before, and his important task was to clean the battlefield part-time. After sucking the blood essence of the other party, the space ring and the treasure on his body were scraped off immediately, so that the people from the black camp who were still watching the play in the back looked greedy. Behind the red light that Lum Wen turned into, a sea of colorful mist suddenly appeared. When she was approaching, the people in the red camp found that it was a group of genuine red bees. The most terrifying thing is that the fist-sized Chifengs leading the way are all fusion realm cultivations with different attributes. Escape. The people from the red camp who wanted to fight with the 6 people were timid when they saw the dense number of red wasps, and there was nothing else in their minds except the runaway. But since Lum Wen and the others decided to take them up, how could they let them escape? So Lum Wen and Ming Xiu immediately joined forces to set up a sword formation to surround everyone in the red camp. Ye Qinghan and Lum Yubai also showed their formidable combat power. Ye Qinghan's beast controlling technique is very strange, as long as the aliens with the blood of monsters can be controlled by him to lose their minds, they can be used as puppet-like fighting machines. And his defense is also very perverted. Not only has the Sea Clan's most precious and unparalleled artifact to protect himself, but also blessed a kind of secret magic power of the spiritual pet, one-to-many easily. After Lum Yubai possessed the body of slaughter, the blood spirit technique was perfected. Now he can gather hundreds of blood spirits to fight at the same time. Although Ming Xiu did not have these techniques or spiritual pets to assist group attacks, his formation was completely integrated into his sword skills. He is also a peerless genius with 8 attributes. 8 long swords of different colors and attributes turned into countless flying swords and spontaneously formed a sword formation. Wherever he went, he was strangled or strangled, who would compete with him. Compared with the group battle ability of the 4, Shanqing and Zhaoxian are obviously much worse. The individual strength of the 2 is very strong, but one-to-many will be difficult. What? Half an hour after the battle, screams rang out from the crowd of the red camp that was besieged by the sword formation. There were sounds of formation balls and talismans exploding everywhere, and red bees, sword energy, and blood spirits were all pervasive. The aliens controlled by Ye Qinghan immediately turned into puppets that only attacked their own people and were not afraid of death, sweeping away. The scenes of the battle made the black camp and those who rushed to the red camp completely stunned. There were more than 50 people in the red camp besieged by Lum Wen and others, and more than half of them were swordsmen in the fusion realm, but after a long battle, they all became food for purple gold vines and red bees. The people in the red camp looked terrified one by one, and before Lum Wen and the others could find them, they turned into streamers and fled into the distance. For fear of accidentally falling into the red bee colony and sword formation. On the other hand, the people from the black faction are extremely complicated. They are glad that the Western War territory of this camp has such a strong alliance, and they are worried that their military exploits will be robbed by several perverts. After beheading all the enemies, Lum Wen and the others did not pursue the fleeing people from the red camp, and all returned to the flying battleship. This kill has actually consumed most of their energy. After all, most of the opponents are strong in the fusion realm, and their means are extraordinary. It is not easy to fight quickly. All 6 were injured more or less, but they were happy. I like this way of fighting. Zhaoxian wiped the blood on the corner of his lips and laughed. Shanqing looked at the 4 with a smile and said, "Your group fighting ability is really strong. You're not weak either." Lum Wen found that Shanqing and Zhaoxian had their own advantages in the battle, and they gradually began to get along with the 4 of them. We will speed up the time recovery. The few people from the red camp that we encountered before are not the strong ones in the front row. Maybe our battle will attract some big fish. Yes, let's hurry up to recover. There are many murderous people in the red camp. After this battle, they should take the initiative to come to the door. Shanqing agreed. It is good. With the medicinal pills provided by Lum Wen, the recovery speed of several people was very fast, which was the advantage of having an alchemist in the team. And in the time when several people recovered, their reputation was spread out again. The battle images of several people were also recorded with crystal balls by interested people from both camps and spread on the battlefield. For Lum Wan's Red Bee Colony and Ming Xiu's ever-changing 8-attribute sword formation, many people from both camps couldn't help but feel chills. The murderous name of the double killing in red has spread far and wide again. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My evil Imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 829. Time passed quickly, and it had been more than 2 years since Lum Wan and others came to the western battlefield. In the past 2 years, Lum Wan and the others have been very high profile, and they have long been crushed from the center of the galaxy to the front of the opponent's camp. There are more and more people around them, and they are basically the younger generation from the 4 clans in the Guangling world. Of course, in the past 2 years, Lum Wan's 6 people have also been besieged by many strong men from the Red Camp, and even nearly lost a few times. However, after fighting all kinds of trump cards and means, they finally turned the tide into victory. The rank of several people has risen rapidly, and now they are the rank of captain, and they are not far from the rank of Jutong. Of course, if the 4 of them hadn't gathered together for military exploits and exchanged the body sculpting spirit for Jun Luokan, they would have all taken the same military rank now. On this day, the group rested in an uninhabited little broken star belt. Mu Yan, people in the central and southern regions have sent a message again. Ming Xiu took out his badge and looked at it. How? They want to trade medicinal pills, magic balls, and talismans again. Lum Wan basked lazily against the edge of a large stone. Their current team is no longer 6 people. After 2 years of integration and the rapid rise of military rank, a lot of people from the same faction have gathered around them, about 300 people. Ming Xiu has also become the leader of more than 300 people, directing everyone to play team battles with the red team that has also gradually been integrated. For the past 2 years, she has continued to trade medicine pills, magic balls, and talismans. Now many people in the western battlefield rely on them to supply medicine pills. Even if they don't join their team, they are still relatively good. Relationship. And she and Ming Xiu's influence in the western battlefield is getting bigger and bigger, and their prestige is also increasing. This is not only a matter of strength, but also because they have what everyone needs in their hands. Well, they want to trade a batch of 9th grade medicinal herbs, array balls, and talismans from us, Ming Xiu said with a smile, but the focus is on 9th grade medicinal pills. Before entering the extraterritorial battlefield, all the younger generation will come in with high-grade medicinal pills, but the tragic and dangerous military battlefield is also destined to be the biggest consumable. What's more, except for the super big family geniuses in the big interface who will bring some 9th grade medicinal pills into the battlefield, other families or forces simply can't provide many 9th grade medicinal pills. The Union Battlefield Quartermaster can exchange for the 9th grade medicine pill, but it requires a lot of military merit, and many people are unwilling to exchange it. Military merit can be exchanged for things, but once it is crossed out from the badge, it means that the ranking of the total military merit list will also be pulled down, and even the military rank will also be dropped. In previous military exploits, in order to save their lives and improve their strength, many people still reluctantly chose to use military merit points to go to the quartermaster to exchange for the 9th grade medicine pill. However, this year, Lum Wan appeared, so the people who survived in the western battlefield basically switched to medicinal pills from her. She has also become the hottest figure in the western battlefield today. If she hadn't formed a team by herself, many large group leaders would want to recruit her. The battlefield between us is so far apart, how do they trade? Lum Wan asked. They said they have persuaded the officers of the central base and the southern base to help teleport with the teleportation array, Ming Xiu said while playing with the badge. Lum Wen raised her eyebrows. How could the officer help you with such a thing? There should be some benefit. The benefits must be given, Ming Xiu said, but trading with us is very beneficial to the Alliance headquarters, and they will naturally not stop it. Because of the pills, magic balls, and talismans they traded out, the overall strength of the Western battlefield has improved a lot, and the damage is the least compared to the other 4 battlefields. On the other hand, the number of losses of the Red Camp in the Western battlefield continued to rise rapidly. Recently, they have been relatively idle, because the people living on the other side are becoming more and more cunning, and many have chosen to hide and practice, waiting for 3 years to be allocated to other battlefields. Then do you say we want to trade? Lum Wen has now been completely cultivated by Ming Xiu and has developed a lazy temperament, and he has to worry about everything. I've been busy recently, but I can make a batch for them to trade, but the price of the trade needs to be increased by 20 to 30%, Ming Xiu calculated. Well, although the military battlefields are very dangerous, we can often find good things. We have gained so much. I believe that there will be many other people who can survive. This alliance will increase by 20 to 30%. If you want to trade, double it, Lum Wen said with a smile. She doesn't trade with the Red Square Camp for the magic balls and talismans, but some of the 9th grade medicinal herbs that are not very crucial will still be traded with each other in private. Well, recently, other leaders of the red side of the battlefield have also sent me messages in private, and I have stabilized. Meditation paused and said, by the way, several waves of people in the central and southern battlefields also want to trade some high-grade restoration spirit wine. This is no problem, give it to them, let them have some sweetness for the first cooperation, Lum Wen said lazily, hugging her hands. After entering the battlefield of military exploits in the West, except for the first more than a year of fierce fighting between the two sides, as the advantages of their side gradually became prominent, the other side began to adopt a strategy of shrinking. Once they have to hide in the huge fragmented star belt, they are also difficult to find. So using her spare time, in addition to cultivating to improve her strength, she also developed a spirit wine that can quickly restore her energy in battle. It is even more effective than the 9th grade medicinal pills that can restore Yuan Li. It was also thanks to Yeking Han that she found a small pool of 10,000-year-old spirit milk. She could brew more than 10 pots of spirit wine with a drop of diluted spirit milk and a small amount of 9th grade spirit grass. As soon as the spirit wine was launched, it was enthusiastically sought after by everyone in the Western battlefield and became the most popular trade item. It was only because it was researched that it didn't take long, and the transaction volume was not very large. I didn't expect that people in the central and southern battlefields would also know the news. Well, if this spirit wine can be popularized, the fall rate of our black camp will be reduced again. Ming Xiu reached out and stroked Lum Wen's face. In the same battle, if there is a spirit wine or elixir that can quickly restore the original energy, the situation of the battle will definitely be reversed. Therefore, when Lum Wen's spirit wine was released, people in the Western battlefield went crazy, and they all wanted to find some relationship with them. His woman has gradually become the hottest person in the foreign battlefield, and he must be proud. However, we estimate that we will completely enter the red team's pursued blacklist. Lum Wen shrugged. Their transactions saved the lives of many people from the black camp, giving them more means to save their lives, but it was the beginning of bad luck for the red camp. Now the people in the Western battlefield of the red camp mentioned that the person who gritted their teeth the most was the red-clothed double kill. The two were discussing the transaction. Yeking Han's badge rang, he took it out and looked at it. His expression changed, and he immediately stood up. Nailange was seriously injured. My evil imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant. Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 830. Neilange and Yekinghan have a good private relationship. The friendship between the two was mainly established after spending time alone in the dark places together before, and experienced life and death together several times. In the past 2 years, Neilange and Yekinghan would also send messages privately through badges, and the two gradually became close friends. Lum Wan and Ming Xiu were stunned when they heard Yekinghan's words. Neilange had long been a good friend to them. Where was he injured? Ming Xiu frowned slightly and asked, how is it now? Neilange was also assigned to the western battlefield, but because the opponent was in the red camp, and it was now a life and death military battle, everyone acted separately. Neilange and Sujin are spies of the black camp lurking in the red camp. They both have the badges of both sides, and their military merits can be accommodating and shared, which means that they can accumulate military merits by killing people on both sides. This is like a cheating device, but if both sides kill, it will inevitably cause public outrage, so under normal circumstances, such spies will only choose to attack on one side. What Sujin chose was to directly kill the people of the red camp in the black camp to accumulate military merit. However, because Neilange and Neilange were selected by the highest commander of the black side, they had to complete some spying tasks, and naturally the people who started them could only be from the black side's camp. If it weren't for the cold and fearless temperament of the two brothers, such an approach would definitely be very difficult for a passionate person. He was besieged by several waves of people from the red camp, and is now trapped in this location. Yekinghan quickly took out a map and pointed to a location. Let's hurry over. Lum Wan also stood up. This time, they didn't call Shanxing and Zhaoxian. After all, this was an action to rescue friends, and there was no need to involve other people. Lu Muting took Miao Miao and Sujin out to wander around alone, and Lu Mubai stood up without hesitation to go to the rescue together. Several people quickly got on the flying instrument of Mingxiu, which directly inspired the speed blessing ban on the instrument. The place where Neilange was besieged was not very far from them, but it still took half a day's journey. King Han, you send a message to Neilange to let him hold on for a long time. Lum Wan's eyes showed a bit of worry. King Han nodded and immediately took out his badge to send a message. Ming Xiu's eyes were far-reaching, and after a while, he said, I suspect that the person who besieged Neilange is actually us. It's also possible, otherwise unless his identity as a spy is exposed, the people from the red camp should not attack him. Lum Wan frowned. Neilange sent a message saying that the people who besieged him were all the leaders of the alien race at the transfer station, and their purpose was us. Yekinghan said, looking at the new message. Is he asking us to accumulate military merit or let us save him? Lum Wan was relieved to hear the new news. If those people came for them, they would definitely not kill Neilan Song, and he also has a crazy big brother who has been promoted to the rank of Dutong. I think based on his virtue, he should ask us to gather military merit, and he will watch a good show. By the way, Yekinghan laughed. He gets along with Neilange the most, and he still understands each other's temperament relatively well. By the way, he said that the leaders of the other party are all with the rank of captain, and there are more than 70 people besieging him. All of them are sword masters in the fusion realm, and the leaders with the highest cultivation base are the peak of the fusion realm, he added. Their real strength should not be as simple as it seems. Ming Xiu squinted his eyes and said, but if we kill them, we can all be promoted to the rank of military commander. They have already made a name for themselves in the western battlefield. If those people did not set a sure trap or were very confident in their own strength, it would be impossible for them to go. It's okay, they have a backer, and we also have a dog-headed military advisor. Lum Wan blinked her eyes mischievously, and said with a smile, we welcome the big fat sheep that came to your door. Jun Luokan couldn't do it, but he could come up with ideas and check if there were any traps around him. I can't hear a good word from your woman's mouth. Jun Luokan was drinking a glass of the spirit wine newly brewed by Lum Wan that could improve his cultivation in the fusion realm. Hearing this, he immediately rolled her eyes at her. Then what kind of good words do you want to hear? Our military counselor is handsome, suave, coquettish, and beautiful. Lum Wan said a lot of words in a very nauseous way. Jun Luokan twitched the corners of his mouth and said angrily, "Forget it, good men don't fight women." After letting her talk nonsense, he is about to become the enchantress of the confused country. By the way, is Mo Yan about to wake up? He immediately changed the subject, and he had never won against Lum Wan, and he was in tears. Lum Wan nodded, "Not yet, but his breath is getting stronger and stronger. I feel that he may break through to the fusion of heaven and man recently. A year ago, they got the news of the birth of a spirit fire in the form of a transaction. After rushing away, a lot of people from both camps died, but no one could tame the Black Lotus holy fire that seemed to come from hell. In the end, Mo Yan directly grabbed the food and swallowed the spirit fire, which also attracted them to be besieged by hundreds of people from both camps at the same time and wanted to kill Mo Yan. If it wasn't for the fact that there were many magic balls and talismans refined, and the defense methods were strong, that time they're really going to sink in." However, she wrote down all the people who participated in the black camp that besieged them at the time, and she never made deals with them after that. It was useless for those people to regret it. And Mo Yan fell into a long-term deep sleep after swallowing the Black Lotus sacred fire. Mo Yan's speed is really fast. Jun Luokan also guessed that the black refining holy fire is very important to Mo Yan, otherwise it would be impossible to snatch it with all his life, and he was seriously injured because of it. Of course, when Mo Yan is promoted to the fusion of heaven and human realm, we will have another powerful help in the final battle, Lum Wan said with a smile. Now she, Ye King Han, and Lu Mubai have all advanced to the peak of the middle fusion realm, and Ming Xiu has even hit the upper fusion realm. They are all able to rank in the top 10 in the western battlefield. When he was about to reach the place where Nailange was besieged, Ye King Han received another message from him. Nailange said that a group of monsters from our Guangling realm in the black camp strayed into the besieged area and were already targeted by the people from the red side, Ye King Han said with a frown. The Sea clans who were divided into the East China Sea and the North Sea of the Guangling realm in the western battlefield were all gathered together to join their teams, but there were many demon clans and demon clans who acted alone. Lum Wan was intrigued by what he said, and she said with a smile, "I was just trying to get some relationship with the royal family of the demon clan, but I didn't expect the opportunity to come." After entering the extraterritorial battlefield, the demon clan and the demon clan acted relatively independently. They operated independently, and usually did not have a deep connection except for trading with them. It would be great if the other party could owe them a life-saving grace. "Well, I heard that the people being targeted are the royal families of the two big demon realms, the fire unicorn and the nine-headed demon snake," Ye King Han said with a light smile.